The right wants to be clear about a couple different things. One, they don't abide snowflakes. And two, they're not down with cancel culture. Just let people say and do what they want with their speech, with their art. All that said, take a look at this. In a letter sent to the TV Parental Guidelines Monitoring Board, a group of Republican politicians, including literal US senators, have strongly urged the regulatory body to update its guidelines to alert parents of content related to sexual orientation or gender identity. This is not, by the way, just state reps or state senators. Those are just literal senators saying, you need to create new ratings so that I don't accidentally see a gay person on an episode of TV or in a movie. So some of the details, they say, we strongly urge you to update the TV parental guidelines and ensure that they are up to date on best practices that help inform parents on this, in their words, disturbing content. They think that the fact that you might have a trans character on a show is by its very nature disturbing content, which is an interesting revelation for all of us who have been told that if we have any concerns about being offended by anything, that we're being a snowflake and we should just stiff upper lip or something. I don't know. Apparently they can't, they fall apart at the idea of someday seeing a lesbian on TV. Anyway, they went into, of course, a big thing about Disney, saying that, oh my God, they want to have, quote, many LGBTQIA plus characters in our stories. Can you imagine? They're saying this radical and sexual sensation not only harms children, but also destabilizes and damages parental rights. It is a radical and sexual sensation, which is what my indie rock group was called, and it never caught on. But again, what we're talking about is content that mentions gender or that has an LGBTQ character is by its very nature offensive, radical, and sexual. In a way that, again, I'll say, they will never explain how having a straight character on TV isn't inherently sexual, but having a bi character is inherently a sexual thing. Basically pornography, JR.
This is more of their thought of everyone should be looking at the world through their own skewed eyes. So as you point out there, it's weird, you can have straight folks on TV from childhood. They show these up and coming of age movies and TV shows where teenagers, it's a boy and a girl, the girl next door, the shy guy. The boys that come together and then learn about each other as they pursue that the girl that just the prom stories. All these are constant. It's been over and over and over again throughout all of our TV. It's in cartoons. To talk about Disney and how the battle they're having with Ron DeSantis now, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Beauty and the Beast. It's weird how all of, in fact, they'll accept bestiality.
They do.
Before they'll accept an LGBTQ stories being told. Now, if all these stories have been told our entire lives, how do we still have anybody who identifies as gay, lesbian, bi, queer, anything? I thought they'd be getting indoctrinated into being straight. If you can be indoctrinated into being gay because you watch gay people kiss every once in a while, that's amazing how it doesn't work that way. But no one ever asks that question of these folks who are implementing these types of things. They're afraid of it actually hurting people. Ron DeSantis, it's a discomfort. So everyone in the country has to kowtow to their discomfort.
Yep.
That's a form of supremacy. We're better than you. Our opinion and our point of view is more important than your existence. So therefore, you have to conform to our perception of who you are in every realm possible. And we're gonna legislate that. Does that sound like America to you? Ron DeSantis is upset about CRT teachings, which are not happening. He's upset about the history of our country being taught and our ugly racist history being taught. And the reason he's against it, and he openly said that this is not some criticism, because it'll make people uncomfortable. If they're uncomfortable with seeing our history, imagine what the people who had to live it felt like. Were they comfortable?
100%.
Do we care about them? No, it's based on discomfort for people right now. These snowflakes. I'll change the wording I was gonna go with.
Good catch there, because while I don't believe that we should have new regulations that identify LGBTQ content, they do have language regulations right now, and we are unfortunately bound by them. I don't approve of those either, but they do exist. Yeah, no, this is absolutely ridiculous, and that specifically they want, like, they could just say, people, I don't think people should watch this stuff. There's a gay character, you shouldn't watch it. Or we're gonna create our own group that produces pamphlets that inform people about content so they can make choices. No, this is the government should step in and stop it from happening. Marissa, thank you for the update. It's not gonna happen. We'll get to it on the other side though. But I appreciate that. You're good to the very end. No, the government should step in and they should well, okay, if for that, then for what else? Like, would you support, ratings that identify content that could be interpreted as supporting white supremacy or anti-Semitic content? Like, how many should it be? 1,000 different warnings on every single thing? Is that what you want? Of course you don't actually want that. This is specifically, again, about demonizing the LGBTQ community. And even that is that's a side effect. This is about continually reinforcing for their base that this is a big issue. It must be, since US senators are talking about it. They talk about it and talk about it. And so it's no wonder that they freak people out. But I will piggyback on what JR was saying. The whole thing about the indoctrination that you can switch someone over. And I know that there are people who believe that. Charlie Kirk has talked about that in his show. I would love to ask Charlie, how many hours of watching gay content would it take for you to become gay? Like, could you manage 20 minutes, but then you're starting to get nervous? Could you do a full hour? How many hours would it take before that's the end of straight man Charlie Kirk? It's nonsense. That's not how any of this actually works.
All these people also know folks that are within the LGBTQ community. Did you catch the virus? Did you have to mask up? What is it that they think happens with people for who they are? It's amazing. But by the way, this is the same type of narrative that came from any other press group throughout our history. Again, a side note as to why they don't want any of it taught, because we might understand how the system continues to get used over and over again to create the next hated person so that they can continue to usurp power.
Yeah, 100%. By the way, really fast, in terms of how much representation there actually is, we just want to give you some updated numbers. So there was a poll released in 2021, said that 15.9% of Gen Z adults, those are born between 1997 and 2002, identify as part of the LGBTQ community. That's 1 in 6 adult members of Gen Z. So in terms of actual representation, this year, broadcast networks actually set a new record. 11.9% of series regular characters on scripted primetime broadcast series were LGBTQ characters. So that's up from the previous year by a couple points. So it's still not very high. It's not in line with the actual percentage of the population, but this is what they hate.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.